Hello and welcome to this week's Women's Football Chat, focusing on the third and fourth tiers of women's football here in England. That's the FA Women's National League. My name is Chris Gadsby. I'm here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. to bring you all the very latest from the third and fourth tiers of women's football in England, plus information about the rest of women's football in England as well, where it's applying to the FA Women's National League, which we're going to start with the news this week because this certainly does. And after a very hard and long campaign from the Women's Football Fan Collective, amongst many others as well, the FA has announced this week that they are substantially increasing the prize money in the Women's FA Cup. It is now going up to £3 million a year across the competition. A huge increase, an almost 10 times increase in prize money for women's football in England in the FA Cup. It's still undecided yet how it's going to be split across all of the rounds, but it has been announced that it is going to be split disproportionately, with lower clubs receiving substantially more of an increase than the final, for example. So reading off the article, it's going to be introduced at the start of next season. Funds spread across each round of the competition, resulting in greater investment across both the women's professional and grassroots game. The new financial commitment looks to recognise and acknowledge the increased profile and commercial interest in the competition. More details announced in due course on the structure of the new funding and how it will be distributed across the different stages of the Women's FA Cup this season. 417 teams entered the competition this season, just shows how much the women's game is growing. So that's the Women's FA Cup. Other pieces of news: West Brom, they had their game at the Hawthorns against Derby. That was a superb occasion as well. I believe that was last week, but I missed that, so apologies on that one. With that result, that was on the 6th. But I missed that last week. Last week turned into a bit of a rush with Workday being asking me to come in, and I missed that off from the 6th. So apologies for that. But that was a good event for them. We've seen in the past, Derby against Forest at Pride Park, Forest against Derby at the City Ground. There's others in there as well where they've been playing at the men's ground, and it's been a great occasion for women's football, raising the profile. And West Brom have been able to do that as well, which is great. And then also in the 5th tier, Northampton Town had a game at Sixfields, and that was a record attendance for Northampton Town women as well. So that was great. There's some other good news as well regarding Doncaster Rovers Bells and their game against Burton Albion that was on Saturday. I'll cover that in a bit more detail when we look at that result when we get down to tier 4. But let's start, as we always do here, with the Northern Premier Division, where everything kind of stayed the same as you'd expect in terms of the table, at least. So Brighouse Town 0, AFC Fylde 1, Derby County 3, Huddersfield Town 0, Middlesbrough 2, Sheffield 1, Nottingham Forest 2, Stoke City 0, West Bromwich Albion 4, Hull City 2, and Loughborough Lightning 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 3. If we have a look then at Brighouse Town against Fylde to start, just the one goal in it. Faye McCoy netting that one to give Fylde the 3 points. Derby County against Huddersfield Town. It was a close game for the first 40 minutes or so. Sophie Domingo then opening the scoring for Derby just before half-time. 43rd minute for that one. Ellie Gilliatt with a brace in the second half. 53rd minute and 81st minute. Goals for Ellie Gilliatt, giving Derby a 3-0 victory. Middlesbrough 2, Sheffield 1. Sheffield took the lead in this game through Brooke Marsden in the 31st minute. Middlesbrough haven't put their lineup up yet, so I can't tell you any information about that. Forest beating Stoke by 2-0. Rosie Axton in the 9th minute and Jana Mitchell in the 22nd minute put Forest in control of that game. West Bromwich Albion 4, Hull City 2. This was a game where Hull City took the lead as well. This is a very back and forth game. Hayley Crackle, Leah Dugmore and 2 for Shannon Stamps getting the goals for West Brom. Goals for Hull City have not been put on the website yet. And then Loughborough Lightning 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 3 in the 3 o'clock kickoff on Sunday afternoon. Goal for Tammy George, 53rd minute, following up Amber Hughes' 37th minute goal. And also a penalty on the half-hour mark for Anna Morfitt gave Wolves the 3-0 victory. What that means for the table is that all the teams towards the top there, or the top 4 teams at least, all won. So the table is as it was. But obviously one game being played less. We're down to some teams with 5 games to go in that league now. Down towards the bottom is the only movement. Middlesbrough lifting themselves up with that victory over Sheffield. Out of the bottom 3, Loughborough Lightning fall into their place after losing to Wolves. At the bottom there, Hull City, they have 7 games to play. They are now 13 points away from safety. So there's 7 games to play. They're now 13 points away from safety. So time really starting to run out for Hull City. Let's have a look then at the Southern Premier Division. One game to talk about on Wednesday. Oxford United 1, Southampton 1. Both goals coming in the first half. Alicia Ware in the 6th minute gave Southampton the lead, but Charlie Johns, 44th minute, equalised for Oxford. No goals at all in the second half, and it finished 1-1. Then at the weekend, Cardiff City 0, Ipswich Town 3, Hounslow 1, Crawley Wasps 7, Keynsham Town 0, Gillingham 8, London Bees 0, Portsmouth 4, MK Dons 1, Oxford United 0, Southampton 1, Bridgewater United 1, Plymouth Argyle 2, Chichester and Chelsea 1. Cardiff City against Ipswich Town then. A goal for Zoe Barrett and a brace for Anna Gray gave Ipswich Town the 3-0 victory for the league leaders. A very convincing victory for Crawley Wasps against Hounslow, but no information about that game has been put on the full-time site yet. Gillingham putting 8 past Keynsham Town. A hat-trick for Melanie Pereno, 20th, 25th and 60th minute. Elsewhere, goals for Amy Russ, 13th minute. Cara Sophia Priscilla Afiu Fajor in the 40th minute. Megan Maslak in the 45th minute to put Gillingham 5-0 up by half-time. 85th minute, Phoebe Leach. And Brian Grant in the 87th minute rounded off an 8-0 victory for Gillingham. Portsmouth beating London Bees by 4-0. No information about those goals on the website yet, though. MK Dons 1, Oxford United 0. Good victory for MK Dons at home to Oxford. Sophia Kusabon-Stovold getting the only goal of the game. Southampton 1, Bridgewater United 1. Southampton held to a draw by Bridgewater United. Their goal coming from Ella Pusi in the 58th minute. No information about Bridgewater United on this site yet. And then finally, Plymouth against Chichester and Chelsea in the 2:30 kickoff. Chichester and Chelsea opening the scoring early on. Sophie Phelps in just the 2nd minute putting them in front. But then in the 5th minute of added time at the end of the first half, Natasha Natman pulls one back for Plymouth. And then Gemma Rose gets the go-ahead goal just before the hour mark. And that is how the game finished. What that means for the table is that the teams are relatively in the same place, but the points differences have changed substantially. Ipswich Town now 4 points clear of Oxford at the top of the table after Oxford were after Oxford were beaten at the weekend. Southampton were held, so Gillingham have now pulled level with them, although Southampton do still have 5 games in hand. Those 5 games, if they were to win them all, would put them on 53 points. So they are still in that race with Ipswich. Oxford, there's 6 games to go for those teams on 20 games played. Oxford 4 points back. So the task is made slightly more difficult for Oxford now. Have a look at Oxford United's run-in for the rest of the season. And this is where it gets, I think we mentioned this last week as well, but Oxford have got to play Ipswich away, then Southampton away, and then Gillingham away to finish their season off. So not an easy run. They've only got one more home game this season. They've got to face Bridgewater United as well away from home. So Oxford United, in their 6 games to go in the Southern Premier Division, have got to play the other teams in the top 5, all the other teams currently in the top 5, away from home. So that's going to be a tricky one for Oxford, particularly when you compare it to Ipswich's run-in, where they have, as we'll talk about later on, their FA Cup quarter-final this weekend. Then they've got 5 home games in a row. They also have to play Southampton, though. They've got 5 home games in a row and then an away trip to Portsmouth to finish the season off. Ipswich's run-in looks a lot more comfortable than Oxford's. Southampton, of course, have got a lot of games to play, but they finish with a 5-game homestand as well. That includes the cup final against Huddersfield, where they've been drawn as the home team. So plenty for Southampton to get the teeth into, but they've got a lot of fixtures that they've got to catch up with. Towards the bottom, MK Dons' victory has really helped them out, close that gap. They are now only 1 point away from safety. Yes, Plymouth Argyle have got 3 games in hand. Yes, Cardiff have got a game in hand on MK Dons as well. But if you remember just a couple of weeks ago, it was starting to look a bit better for Cardiff. They were deducted those 2 points for failing to fulfil fixtures because of COVID. But they are now right back into that relegation battle. And it's just becoming a little bit more nervous for the South Wales side. Hounslow at the bottom, they have 9 games to play. They are 7 wins away from safety. So they haven't won all season. And they would need to now win at least 7 out of, realistically, 8 out of the last 9 to avoid relegation. Let's move through into Division 1 North. Barnsley 3, Chorley 3, Durham Central 1, Leeds United 2, Liverpool Feds 4, Alnwick Town 0, Newcastle United 4, Norton Stockton Ancients 0, Stockport County 2, Bradford City 3. Barnsley against Chorley. Chorley 2 goals for Ellie Cleary and a penalty for Laura Walker, providing them with their goals. No information about Barnsley as of yet. Durham Central 1, Leeds United 2. Jennifer Knowles opening the scoring for Durham Central on the 28th minute. They went in at half-time, 1-0 up. And then Laura Bartup, 69th and 79th minute, pulled it back and took the lead for Leeds United. They hold on to get the 3 points. Liverpool Feds 4, Alnwick Town 0. Goals for Paige Cole, 31st minute. Demi Devereux, 56th and 74th minute, and Bethany Donoghue, 87th minute, giving Liverpool Feds a convincing victory. Same scoreline for Newcastle against Norton and Stockton Ancients. Katie Barker, 2 for Lauren Robson and 1 for Georgia Gibson. Makes it 4-0 for Newcastle. Stockport County 2, Bradford City 3. No information about Stockport County, but Bradford City goals for Charlotte Stewart, 39th and 55th minute. And Emma Elliott in the 89th minute, rounding off a victory, a late winner there for Bradford City, a 3-2 victory for them. Well, that means in the table, Liverpool Feds and Newcastle United remain far out in front. 42 and 40 points respectively. Newcastle United with the better goal difference though. Leeds United, they have 8 games left to play. They could get 24 points and they're not out of it yet. But realistically, it's a 2-horse race between Liverpool Feds and Newcastle as to who will get that promotion spot. Let's have a look at their run-ins. Liverpool Feds have got to face Newcastle away. That's going to be a crucial game. That's on the 3rd of April. Liverpool Feds, they've also got Bradford City, who are going to be scrapping potentially in the relegation zone. Norton Stockton Ancients at home, they're in the middle of the table, as are Chorley when they face them away. Leeds United at home on their penultimate game of the season is going to be an interesting one as well. FC United of Manchester, they might have nothing to play for by that stage. They might have everything to play for by that stage. In terms of Newcastle United, They've got Chester Street Town, who are in the relegation zone. They've got Alnwick Town, who are in the relegation zone. They've got Barnsley, who are in the relegation zone. So it's, I would say the running favours Newcastle at the moment, but it is going to be that game between the top two, which could well prove crucial for the rest of the season and who goes up. Newcastle United will very much be of the mindset, win every game, we win the league, because they'll take those points away from Liverpool Feds. Right, let's move through to the Division 1 Midlands, and I said we'd talk about Doncaster Rovers Bells against Burton Albion. That taking place on the Saturday. It was a 5:45 kickoff, and that is because they played directly after Doncaster Rovers men played in their game at the Keepmoat Stadium. And I think this is a brilliant idea. I think it's fantastic. I think you have the women playing after the men. And Doncaster Rovers Bells, they certainly didn't disappoint. A 5-0 victory over Burton Albion. Goals for Jessica Andrew, Nadia Khan, Jasmine Saxton, to go along with a brace for Lauren Breen. Means that they won by 5-0. Now, Bournemouth St Michael's, we're going into Sunday now, of course. Bournemouth St Michael's beating Leafield Athletic by 5-0. They haven't got any information on the league website yet. Wem Town 2, Lincoln City 3. Laura Morris and Laura Pennington getting the 2 goals for Wem Town. Lincoln City, Tony McHamilton, 16th minute. Sophie Williams, 57th minute. And an opposition own goal in the 22nd minute means Lincoln City take all 3 points. Then at 3 o'clock, Peterborough United 1, Leek Town 1. Leek Town opening the scoring, Cassie Hyde in the 10th minute, but Keir Perkins 82nd minute getting a point for Peterborough United. Solihull Moors 3, Biddeford United 0. Jessica Lowe getting 1 goal, and Leah Sivright getting a brace for Solihull Moors. Well, that means for the table, 22 games to play in this one. We're right at crunch time here in the Division 1 Midlands. Bournemouth St Michael's 3 points clear of Doncaster Rovers Bells. And they've got Sporting Cowser, Wem Town, Lincoln City and Leafield Athletic to play. So Bournemouth St Michael's with teams down towards the bottom end of the table still to play. Doncaster Rovers Bells, they've got Peterborough, Biddeford, Long Eaton and Solihull Moors. So Peterborough there in the middle of the table. I was going to say Biddeford already at the bottom. Long Eaton United, they're up in 4th, and Solihull Moors kind of in mid-table as well. A pretty even running, but if you look at the goal difference as well, a 6-goal favour to Bournemouth St Michael's. Now, over 4 games, and particularly when Bournemouth St Michael's are required to lose a game for Doncaster Rovers Bells to take the title, that's not insurmountable by any stretch of the imagination. So the goal difference at the moment, in my view anyway, isn't too much of a factor because, of course, for Bournemouth St Michael's to lose a game, that'll be at least -1. Doncaster Rovers Bells at least +1. Then it's down to 4, and then over 3 games, I mean, the winning margins could be anything, so it's not insurmountable for Doncaster Rovers Bells. Doncaster Rovers Bells, they only have 1 game at home for the rest of the season, which is exactly the same as Bournemouth St Michael's. So interesting to see over the next few weeks what happens there. Solihull Moors climb a couple of places with their victory. But down towards the bottom, it's getting a bit nervy now. Biddeford United, they are 11 points away from safety. They've only got 12 available. And when you consider, as we have previously mentioned, that they've got to play Doncaster Rovers Bells, they've also got to play Leek Town, who are currently in 5th, away from home. Solihull Moors, who realistically haven't got anything to play for now. I think 8 points at this point of the season is going to be too much of a gap for them to get dragged into the relegation battle. They've then got Doncaster Rovers Bells away and Wem Town at home to finish the season off. Wem Town, of course, are in that fight to try and get out of the relegation zone. Biddeford United have to now win away at Leek Town That's on the 20th, so this Sunday coming. They have to win. A draw won't do it anymore. They're 11 points from safety, only 12 available. A win will not do. A draw will not do it. They have to beat Leek Town, otherwise we'll see an R against their name next week's show. Division 1 South East then, on Wednesday, #United 2, Harlow Town 1, AFC Wimbledon 1, Enfield Town 0, Billericay Town 3, Actonians 1, Cambridge City 1, Kent Football United 0, Queen's Park Rangers 3, Harlow Town 1, and Stevenage 2, Norwich City 1. Let's go back to Wednesday then, this game between #United and Harlow Town. Brooke Meyer-Cairns and Malika Apinda-Gill getting the goals for #United. Andy Dickens getting one for Harlow Town, but # take the 3 points. Move through into the weekend. AFC Wimbledon 1, Enfield Town 0. AFC Wimbledon's goal isn't on the full-time website, but friend of the show, Sophia Axelson, has given me the information. Hannah Billingham, 53rd minute. The AFC Wimbledon captain giving AFC Wimbledon the victory. You may remember Sophia from before Christmas when she was with Clapton after we spoke to her about their FA Cup run. Billericay Town 3, Actonians 1. Billericay Town information not yet on the website. Actonians goal scored by Mele De Santos, 48th minute. Cambridge City 1, Kent Football United 0. Bronwyn Mulhern getting the only goal of the game after coming on just after half-time and scoring the goal for Cambridge City. Queen's Park Rangers 3, Harlow Town 1. Melanie Hall, 65th minute. Laura Hennessy, 75th minute. And Jessica Francis Weir in the 95th minute, giving Queen's Park Rangers their 3 goals. Harlow Town not announced yet, so can't give you their scorer. Stevenage against Norwich City. 2 goals for Stevenage to Amy Makewell. Norwich City, no information yet either. Table then. AFC Wimbledon go back above Actonians. They've got games in hand as well. #United and Billericay Town, their gap stays the same. Towards the bottom, Stevenage climbed 2 places. It's now only goal difference sending them down at the moment. Harlow Town and Norwich City both drop a place. If we have a look at some of the run-ins for these teams then, #United at the top. They're 4 points clear of Billericay Town. They've got Wimbledon away. That's going to be a tough fixture. Stevenage away in the relegation zone, and Enfield Town just outside the relegation zone for #United. Billericay Town, they've got that game in hand. They've got Cambridge United away, who are kind of mid-table at the moment. Queen's Park Rangers at home. Cambridge City away, who are also just kind of mid-table as it stands at the moment. And then London Seaward, who are just mid-table as well. So Billericay Town, they have to win all of their games and rely on #United dropping points somewhere to get the title. And then at the bottom, you've got Kent Football United, who have got 6 games to play. They're 12 points away from safety. So not insurmountable as of yet for Kent Football United. You look at the games they've got to play. There are some crucial ones in there they've got to play. Stevenage, who are currently in the bottom 4 with them. They've got to play Harlow Town, currently in the bottom with them. They've got to play Enfield Town, currently just outside the bottom with them. They've got to play Stevenage, who are in there as well. Cambridge City and London Seaward are their next 2. They're both at home. And Cambridge City, they're 6 points clear with 4 games to go for the teams in the relegation zone. You'd like to think that Cambridge City, as long as they don't lose all of their games, would be okay. It might just be 4 of those bottom 5 at the moment going down, but nothing decided too far as of yet. So it'll be interesting to see over the next few weeks how that all pans out. And then Division 1 South West will run through the final league fixtures from this weekend. Division 1 South West. Exeter City 4, Portishead 0 on Wednesday. Goals for Exeter coming to Connie Pengelly, 48th minute and 77th minute. Anthea Captain in the 59th minute and Emily Toogood in the 63rd minute, giving Exeter the win. Then at the weekend, Cheltenham Town 2, Bournemouth 1. That was a crucial fixture. We mentioned it last week. We'll look at that in more detail in a moment. Chesham United 4, Larkhall Athletic 1. Maidenhead United 0, Exeter City 3. So Cheltenham Town 2, AFC Bournemouth 1. 23rd minute, Charlotte Criddle. Tamsin Hayward in the 77th minute put Cheltenham 2-0 up. Katie James got a goal for Bournemouth in the 93rd minute, but it proved to be nothing more than a consolation goal. Cheshire United 4, Larkhall Athletic 1. Goals to Larkhall Athletic, who took the lead in this game. Rhiannon Robbins, 28th minute. But then Cheshire United, Gemma Fraser, 35th minute. Emma Bebbington, 70th minute. Anika Nuttall, 74th minute. And Erin Price, 85th minute. Put Chesham 4-1 up and gave them the 3 points. And then a good week for Exeter, a 3-0 victory away at Maidenhead United. Took the lead early on. Anthea Captain, 5th minute. Connie Pengelly, 7th minute. And then Sarah Stacey, 65th minute, gave Exeter City the 3 points. A 6-point week for Exeter City, which sees them climb 3 places up to 4th. We mentioned that they'll start to climb places now as they play those games in hand that they had. So they're now in 4th. They're 15 points away from Cheltenham Town in 1st, but with 4 games in hand. So there's still a game back from Cheltenham Town. But up at the top there, we'll look at that fixture. Cheltenham Town, they beat Bournemouth. They now go a point clear of AFC Bournemouth. We spoke to Cheltenham Town's Mike earlier in the season. He says, we win all our games and we win the league, and that's what they've been trying to do. Yes, they lost to Forest in the Cup, but in the league at least they got that victory against Bournemouth, which was the crucial victory they needed. Their run-in is Portishead away. Portishead, nothing really to play for at the moment. They're just in mid-table. Exeter City is going to be a tough game for Cheltenham, but they are at home. Chesham United is going to be another tough game for Cheltenham. And then they finish with Southampton women away on the last day of the season. Bournemouth, on the other hand, they have Portishead away, who, as I said, have got nothing really to play for. Chesham United will be a tough fixture, and then Exeter City will be a tough fixture. So you feel, with the game in hand as well, that the run-in favours Cheltenham at the moment, in my opinion, at least. Down there towards the bottom, Poole Town have 9 points available still. But they have 9 points available. They're 8 points back from Larkhall Athletic. They need to win every single game to stand a chance of surviving. And they've got Southampton at home, Swindon at home, and Exeter City at home. You feel as though the Exeter City game might be the one. If they do manage to get the victories against Southampton and Swindon, the Exeter City game might be the one that slips them up as Exeter make a charge towards the top of the table. I should just mention as well, I will go into it later on with the fixtures, but the Southampton women game is tomorrow night, the 16th. So by the time the weekend comes, it might already be too late for Poole Town. That's all of the results from the past week in the FA Women's National League, the 3rd and 4th tiers of women's football here in England. What we're going to look at now, before we go into the league fixtures coming up this weekend, is based off the title of this show as well. Ipswich Town flying the flag. It's the FA Cup quarter-final this weekend. Ipswich Town, the last FAWNL side in the competition. They're at home to West Ham United. And they are flying the flag for the FA Women's National League. Elsewhere, Chelsea against Birmingham City in an all-Super League tie, as is Arsenal against Coventry United. Myself, personally, I'll be rooting for Coventry United in that one. Manchester City against Everton, and then Ipswich Town against West Ham United. That final fixture there. I just want to wish, as I'm sure everybody watching this will do as well, Ipswich Town the very best of luck in their game against West Ham United this coming weekend. Give it their absolute all, and just maybe they might be able to produce a bit of a shock. Elsewhere, as much as I'm rooting for Coventry United, you have to favour Arsenal in that tie. Probably favour Manchester City as well. And probably Chelsea. So Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester City, and hopefully Ipswich Town as well in the FA Cup quarter-final. So, of course, next week, be looking at these results. Should Ipswich get to the semi-final as well, we'll preview that that game. As said, we will continue to cover the FA Cup here on this show as long as there is an FA Women's National Team in it. Right, let's have a look then at the fixtures coming up this week then in the Northern Premier Division on Wednesday. So tomorrow, Brighouse Town against Burnley, two teams in the middle of the table at the moment. Then at the weekend, Derby County take on Brighouse Town. Derby got to keep applying the pressure to Wolves because they're only 3 points back, but they've played 2 games more. Wolves have played one of their games in hand now. They're back to just 2. Hull City against Sheffield. That's a crucial fixture down towards the bottom. Hull City in 13th, Sheffield in 12th. And of course, it's a 24-game season. It could be that Hull, if they lose that game to Sheffield, it could be, if Middlesbrough were to beat Wolves, but that's unlikely, that the gap is 16 points with 18 available to Hull. So it might just prove then it just gets too much for Hull City. But never say never. Middlesbrough against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Again, you've got to favour Wolves in that one, even though they're away from home. West Bromwich Albion against AFC Fylde. 8th against 3rd. West Brom on a relatively good run of form at the moment. Fylde, it's not going to be an easy fixture for them. But again, they're 5 points behind Wolves, and they don't have any games in hand over Wolves either, so they could really do with a victory to try and keep the pressure on. Not playing this weekend, then Forest aren't playing there in County Cup action. Huddersfield not playing either. So for the teams around the top, I mean, Forest and Huddersfield are going to gain a game in hand over the other teams at the top. So it's another opportunity for the teams towards the bottom of the table to pick up crucial points and do some of the teams not playing this weekend a favour. Southern Premier Division then, Cardiff against Southampton, that is 9th against 3rd, Chichester and Chelsea against Gillingham, 13th against 4th, Crawley Wasps against Bridgewater United, 6th against 5th, Keynsham Town against Hounslow is 12th against 14th, and Plymouth Argyle against MK Dons, that is 10th against 11th. So again, not too much happening at the top. Ipswich Town in FA Cup action, of course. Oxford United not playing. Opportunity for Southampton to close that gap a little bit more with another one of their games in hand over the top 2. A couple of mid-table games in there, as we've mentioned, but it's towards the bottom that it's going to be important this weekend. Keynsham Town in 12th, facing Hounslow, who are bottom of the table. Keynsham Town with a victory can pull themselves potentially within 3 points of safety. So that's going to be important for them as they go into their final 5 games of the season. Plymouth Argyle against Milton Keynes Dons. The winner of that game will be safe by the end of the week, or in a safety position at least by the end of the week. Plymouth Argyle have 3 games in hand on MK Dons, a victory over them, and they start to get a little bit of gap between themselves and the bottom 4, particularly with those games in hand, and that drags Cardiff right back into it. Hounslow, they're 7 wins away from safety at the moment. They've got 9 games to play. If Plymouth were to win, Cardiff could get a point as well. That gap could get even bigger, and Hounslow won't be too long before the writing's on the wall for them. Into the Division 1 Midlands then. Tomorrow we've got Sporting Cowser against Boldmere St Michael's. That game is 8th against 1st. Boldmere St Michael's could lift themselves 6 points clear of Doncaster Rovers Bells. Burton Albion at the weekend, then Burton Albion against Solihull Moors, Leek Town against Biddeford United, Lincoln City against Long Eaton United, Wem Town against Boldmere St Michael's, and Peterborough United against Leaford Athletic. Now, interestingly here then, so it's a 22-game season in the Division 1 Midlands. By the time we have our show next week, Boldmere St Michael's will only have 2 games left. But Doncaster Rovers Bells aren't playing in the league this weekend. They will still have 4 games left. So whilst Boldmere St Michael's might have a 9-point advantage, it's going to look better for Boldmere St Michael's, potentially if they win both of those games, of course. But you've got to take into account the games in hand that are coming as well. Burton Albion against Solihull Moors is 11th against 6th. Burton Albion need that victory to get themselves towards safety. Leek Town against Biddeford United. That's an important game, as we've mentioned earlier. Biddeford United, they're 11 points back from safety. They've only got 4 games to play. It's a must-win game for Bideford United. They have won games, 2 games so far this season. They can win more, and in fact they have to win more in order to secure safety. Leek Town beat them 5-0 in the reverse fixture earlier on this season. Lincoln City against Long Eaton United, 3rd against 4th. They both need the victory to keep the pressure on the top 2. But in fact, with Long Eaton United, they have to win because they're 14 points back from Boldmere St Michael's. There's 15 points available to them. So if they don't get the victory, then Long Eaton United are out of it. Lincoln City, with a game in hand, could drag themselves back into it with the victory over Long Eaton United. Then with the game in hand as well, that could see them get right back into the thick of it as we go towards the end of the season. Wem Town against Boldmere St Michael's. That's going to be a tough one for Wem Town, but a victory could see them go to within 1 point of safety. And Peterborough United against Leaford Athletic is 7th against 9th. 21 points, plays 17 points. Leaford Athletic with games in hand over those in the bottom 3, and they could do with some wins to lift themselves higher up the standings and just get themselves away from the drop zone. Let's go to the Division 1 North then. 3 leagues to go. Tomorrow, Newcastle United against Chester Street Town. So Newcastle United could go back top before we head into the weekend, but they will have played a game more than Liverpool Feds. Then at the weekend, Alnwick Town against Barnsley. That's a relegation battle. Alnwick Town bottom, Barnsley in 10th. Chester Street Town against Chorley. That's 11th against 7th. Chester Street Town, again, they desperately need some wins. Durham-Cester against FC United of Manchester. Durham-Cester in 4th. FC United of Manchester in 9th. FC United of Manchester, they're the last safe team, but there is a 6-point gap. That being said, Barnsley, who were deducted 3 points, have also got 3 games in hand. So that could easily get eradicated for FC United in Manchester. Leeds United against Newcastle United, 3rd against 2nd. And Norton Stockton Ancients against Stockport County, 5th against 6th. So Newcastle United could go back as we head into the weekend to the top of the table. But by the time we do this show next week, they will have played 2 games more than Liverpool Fed. So if they don't capitalise on these 2 games, it really is advantage to Liverpool. Division 1 South East, we've got, again, the Cambridge Derby on Wednesday night. United against City, they're 7th and 8th at the moment. AFC Wimbledon against #United at the weekend. That's going to be a crucial game. And the reason that's going to be such a crucial game is that AFC Wimbledon have got 4 games in hand on #United. Were they to win that game and bring it down to 13 points, the gap, with 4 games in hand, they could bring themselves right into contention, could AFC Wimbledon. Particularly when you consider, you look at their running, they've got Norwich City towards the bottom, Harlow Town towards the bottom, Harlow Town twice, in fact, towards the bottom. So AFC Wimbledon, do not discount them just yet because they are not out of it. You can discount everybody else, though. Actonians with only 2 games to play, can't get anywhere close. Queen's Park Rangers with 5 games to play, again, can't get anywhere close. So there's only 3 teams left vying for the title, and AFC Wimbledon have to beat #United this weekend, realistically, to stand a chance. In fact, if they don't beat #United this weekend, then that gap will increase to 19 points with only 6 games to go for Wimbledon. So if #United beat Wimbledon, then it is a 2-horse race. Billericay Town not playing this weekend, so #United will go have 2 games played more than Billericay Town. Right, Division 1 South West then, just last but not least. So tomorrow, Poole Town against Southampton Women. As we've already mentioned, Poole Town have to win that game. Even a draw is not good enough for Poole Town. They have to win against Southampton Women to avoid relegation. Then on Thursday, Swindon Town against Maidenhead United. That is 8th against 6th. 2 teams that don't really have anything to play for the remainder of this season. Swindon Town, in theory, could get up to 4th, but no one can get as close. No one really can get close to Cheltenham and Bournemouth over the next at the moment. Maidenhead United against Southampton Women then at the weekend. 5th versus 6th at the moment. Kind of a game where both teams haven't got much to play for. Portishead against Cheltenham Town. Cheltenham at the top there. Portishead in 7th. They were deducted, Portishead, a point, but it doesn't seem that it's going to do them any difficulties. In fact, it won't do them any difficulties because Poole Town can't catch them. And Swindon Town against Exeter City is 8th against 4th. So if we have a look at this table then, so Cheltenham Town are playing their game in hand against Bournemouth this weekend against Portishead. They could increase that gap to 4 points. As we've already mentioned, Cheltenham, they've got Exeter to play, Chesham to play, and Southampton women to play after this weekend. Whereas Bournemouth have got pretty much the same. They've got Chesham and Exeter as well. They've got Portishead, who Cheltenham have got this weekend. So it's pretty much the same running for those two sides, and it's advantage Cheltenham at the moment. At the bottom, as I said, Poole Town, they have to win against Southampton women. Otherwise, they are down, and then that just really eases the pressure on everybody else. Swindon Town, Larkhall Athletic, Portishead they already couldn't catch. In fact, Swindon can't be catched at the moment either. But Larkhall Athletic will be looking at that game tomorrow with interest, with a lot of interest, because they will, as I said, with a Poole Town, anything but a Poole Town victory and relegation in that league is decided. But that is going to do it for this weekend. We've got County Cup action for the other teams not involved in league action this weekend. So that will do it for this week's Women's Football Chat. Be back next Tuesday at 6 p.m, bringing you all the very latest. We might have some relegations. We might have an FAWNL team in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. But thank you for watching. As always, if you want to get involved, I'm on Twitter at Chris_Gadsby, or you can leave a comment down below. My direct messages are also open on Twitter, so you can get involved that way. But as I said earlier in the show, everybody, a best of luck to everybody involved with Ipswich Town. We are all rooting for you here throughout the FA Women's National League and below, as Ipswich Town tried to make the semi-finals of the Women's FA Cup. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.